PPL Summer Finals. My name is Pretty Hair. That's Gormizer. We are here to bring you the last matchup of the day. It's been a lot of action, but it's time to conclude with what is, frankly, one of the best matchups of the day and one that we're really surprised to kind of see in the first round. It's G2 versus Envy.
I feel like I'm having deja vu because I'm pretty sure I was sitting here yesterday when G2 and Envy first started up. So it's just that same kind of air about it where it's just like, even though we saw it go 7 games yesterday, I'm expecting a very similar kind of pattern where I think this is going to be the one that goes to 3 games.
I mean, it's incredible, right? These two teams go back and forth in the North American PPL, all split long, but now it's time to see them clash with a little bit more on the line. G2, hopefully, will be able to keep up their winning ways here. They are the favored seed in this matchup and have been dominating the matchup as of late.
I mean, yesterday they got 3 games. It was essentially the point where Envy just needs to win 1, and they actually get pretty close to doing so.
Crazy close.
G2, not only on the map, but also in their set, win the 3 things they need to do. They get the 3 maps in a row. And it was just that moment where it's just like this team has connected in a way that they hadn't so far that set.
And typically, Envy does sort of lose that way. They will most often come into tournaments, be down, lose a matchup, and come back and just look like a completely different team. When they have the opportunity to sit there, to watch film, to learn from their mistakes, that is when they look their strongest. And I have to, I'd be hard-pressed to believe they did anything else other than that last night. However, G2 have been on such a hot streak. Can they bounce back? Can they be ready for whatever Envious is cooking up for them today?
Well, a lot of what we've been talking about is like flexibility. Fnatic's very flexible in their drafting style, so they're able to win a lot of their matches. The same thing I think goes for G2 over Envy. Envy, you can know generally what you're going to see Rock Monkey play, what you're going to see Random Noob play. Like, you kind of know the picks that they're going to be going for, and so I think that gives G2 that small leg up where it's just like, we can play anything. You guys have to play something in this kind of subset of champions, and we know how to deal with those.
So given what you saw yesterday, and given now what you've seen today, the evolutions in the draft, do you expect any major changes or just new things to pop their heads up in today's match?
I'm wondering if G2 is still going to value Furia as much, because it seems like Envy were the team that kind of had that unlocked. They seemed like they knew what to expect whenever G2 had that. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So I'm curious as to whether or not that's going to have as high a priority as it did yesterday.
Well, let's take a listen in now to our pregame interview with G2 and see what they thought Envy had cooking up for them.
Welcome then. We've got Evil Eye and Vex 30 up on the table here from, of course, G2 Esports. Guys, we're leading in with the budget replay of yesterday's PPL Finals matchup. Best of 7 all the way to best of 3. How are you guys feeling about that reduction in games?
Go ahead. We're feeling pretty good. I think we know what we did wrong. We started a little slow. We went back, rewatched the VODs, and I think we know what we need to do to win a best of 3 this time a little faster.
Yeah, we're just trying to start how we stopped,
That's fair enough.
You just want to finish how we started. We want to start how we stopped against Fnatic yesterday. We want to keep the comms up. As long as we keep our comms up, we win the game.
So it's all about communication for you guys, which you've remarked was an issue previously. Vex, you've joined the team more recently after that fantastic as well online split for you, more recently leading into the Summer LAN. Do you feel that communication issue, which you might have had previously, has been fixed at LAN now?
It seemed instant. After the first maybe like 3 or 4 games against Envious, we talked to Kyle, our coach. He did a really good job getting us going and pushing us forward and getting us on the right track.
So we've got a few teams here as well that haven't actually got coaches with them. Some of the PGS teams, for example, we're starting to see a lot more of them creep into the background of some of the player cams in the booths when we've got the games going on. Do you feel that's bringing something new to the table for a lot of these teams, or is it just that you've got the right people for the job with you guys, specifically with Kyle?
Oh, I think coaches are a necessity. Analysts, you need a third person's perspective on a team, or else nothing's ever going to get changed and done, because people always think, they're going to be right. And as soon as you hear somebody else say, hey, maybe you didn't do the right thing, it changes your whole outlook on the game and how you play.
That's very fair. It's always nice to have that reassurance, or maybe that question that's external to your team, that's not a part of the gameplay and can be more impartial there. And speaking of that as well, you guys have had the chance to watch a bunch of games go on so far today from a lot of different PGS teams around the world so far. And one remark that's been made is that a lot of players don't really know what they're going to be going up against when they see these teams, because they're coming from regions that you don't see quite as frequently. Do you guys feel a little bit more confident now that you've had the chance to watch some of their games, or are they not bringing anything to the table that you wouldn't have been expecting?
I don't think you can ever underestimate any of these teams. Even Armada, or God, I can't say their name. Armada took Fnatic 3-3 on the Fnatic game, 2-0'd them right at the beginning. Any team can do very well here. You cannot underestimate any of them. Everybody here is a very good player.
Yeah, I mean, there's always surprise. There's always the underdog. You can never underestimate anybody in this tournament.
All right, guys. Well, then, good luck moving forwards in your rematch versus Envy.
you.
We'll see if you come out the gate swing, can maintain momentum from yesterday. Thank you once again, and we'll
Thank
see
you.
you in the realm.
Talking about how important it is for these coaches in the back line. You know, we always talked about Metapursher. He was the first really full-time in it to win it coach, I feel, in the PPL, and Kyle not far behind him. Every other team, you know, Night End for Navi has been a big part. Burrito was actually talking about how in the Space Station matchup, their full-time coach was not actually able to be here this time around, and how that has just devastated them, honestly, because he wasn't able to be that perspective, that other guy that can help things get changed and make sure that you don't stagnate, or the fact that communication falling out can be a devastating effect that you can see. You know, G2, they attribute everything to communication. As long as we're talking, Vex thinks they're going to win.
And it's just in that area where it's, again, having the coach being able to say, like, look, in this moment, like at this point in this game, you messed up. That's just what it is. Accept it.
Yeah.
They are a very open team to that kind of thing. And that's, I think, one of the things both Envy and G2 have that have given them the reason that they keep showing up at these lands. The reason that they keep coming in number 1 and number 2 is because they are so adaptable within themselves to learn and keep growing.
G2 will ban out Bright Marsh. Envy take Fish Market off the table. I don't really understand that one. Normally, Fish Market, that's like a Game 7 sometimes, maybe a Game 6 if we have to go that far into it. Will be Ascension Peak for map number 1. I'd love to know who actually selected this map, because this was the big turning point for G2 yesterday, and so I have to assume that they're the ones picking this as well. This is where Envy failed to close it out. Dosups comes in with this Hexafire that he literally just tried to get all eyes on him, and then he canceled it and ran away. This absolutely miraculous comeback staged by G2. It all started for them here on Ascension Peak, and Vex talked about he wants to start where they stopped yesterday, and I think this is a great map to do that.
And this is one of those areas where, unlike Splitstone Quarry, where they kind of put it off for a long time before G2 finally embraced it and learned it, this was one of the maps that once it came out, they were on top of it. They wanted to make sure they knew it. So they didn't have that same kind of scenario where it's like, we have to ban the new map or else we lose. So coming into this, I feel like they have that advantage. They have that strength. And knowing the map really well, I mean, you come back from 1-3-1, this must bring up some bad memories already for Envy.
So looking at the drafts and the way things have started to evolve today, one thing that I remarked on is that we're seeing a significant lack of Pip. He was picked, I believe Alan said, 6 times yesterday. And, you know, we didn't have too many games, right? You know, 6 was a decent chunk of the games we actually saw him come through, both for the Europeans and for the North Americans primarily. Do you think we'll see some more Pip today?
I think this set is probably the one that will bring in the most Pip if we do see him. It's just one of those things that I feel like G2 specifically has a soft spot for Pip. They know exactly how he works. Everything about him makes sense, and they fit that into their draft really well. Envy has adopted that, specifically having that blaster presence, so if you do lose like Drogos and Bomb King, you have someone else to go to. But I feel like it's really been the G2 thing.
Right. You know, you look at that interview yesterday and how excited Cuss was to finally be able to get to play a damaged Pip. It's so near and dear to his heart. The fact that he's going to be so excited to take this away from Envy if they give him the chance, if Envy show that they want this pick today, if they prioritize it highly, expect it to go early and often in this set. However, on Ascension Peak, there's not a ton of high ground to work with. On the point, which is where 80% of Ascension Peak actually happens. These point fights easily take upwards of 2 minutes to complete.
This is one of those awkward maps where I feel like there's so much that can work, and a lot in terms of flanks. I feel like there are certain flanks that have an advantage just because of the layout of the map. If they take the right pathing, they take the right spots, they can get to your backline and get rid of something that's going to cause trouble, like a Cassie, pretty much in no time. They don't have to worry too much about it. But there's still only certain flanks that teams really want to run at the level because of the risk versus reward. Like Buck is always going to be safe because you know he can get himself out, versus running something like Alex, you have no guarantee he's actually going to be able to get in and get the kill without losing his life.
Furia will be taken off the board, leaving open Mr. Khan as the priority picks are going, as well as Drogos. Very difficult decision for G2 to make because they know how much Envy do love their Drogos, as well as how much that they love their Khan, and I wonder what they'll go for first. Any thoughts?
Honestly, I feel like they are more likely to prioritize Drogos,
I agree.
But it's just so awkward to give Envy Khan, because I feel like Envy were some of the first ones to think, about Khan coming through and being as strong as he is, but it's not going to be either of them.
You know, Cassie has been a superstar today. There's no doubt about that. But a first pick level superstar for G2, that's quite surprising to me, I have to say. It's definitely Rock Monkey's probably biggest pick. Leon has definitely stepped up, but I feel like that is all as a result of Shaolin, for whatever reason, just falling out of favor recently. But Kondrogos is still up on the board, and Envy, will they forego it as well? At least one half of that equation looks like it will be passed on.
I think Fernando, honestly, when it comes down to these two teams, Khan is always going to be important, but Fernando, this is one of those areas, like, do we give this away so that Cuss can grab it, or do we get it for Rubu? It's going to be great in this game no matter what, so we have to be very careful about letting them have it. It's one of those awkward areas where do you want Con or Drogos more, because I feel like Fernando, because of the two teams that are playing, he has to take that precedent.
That's the key point to be made there, is how important Fernando is to Cuss in G2. Mr. Bodies doesn't seem to be too worried about this draft so far, as he yawns it off, knowing he'll probably be grabbing up the Cassie or the Leon at this stage of the game. Cassie has a lot of flexibility for G2. Bodies can play it. Doe has played it already. Evil Eye, it's not too far out of his wheelhouse either. But what G2 have done very well so far is banning and picking out Rock Monkey. The buck is gone. Cassie and Leon both on the side of G2. What will young Shawnee Boswell play? As the Xin is hovered, it looks like that will be the likely choice for him.
It's one of those moments where, again, we're mentioning how Shaolin's kind of fallen out of favor. Xin is still in that area where he's not going to be as great as he once was, what we used to see, where he was like that first pick, you have to have him. But now he's fallen into this area of, if you have someone who can play him well, which is something Envy practiced a lot during this online split, then you can make strides in that game. You can make things change for you. If you have a good ult, just a good couple of kills, he can take 1v1s, 1v2s, and still survive in a lot of those scenarios, even if they don't go his way. So it's a really solid pick just to have.
Last couple of picks coming through. Barrack and Ruckus hovered. And I would like to see kind of locked here. I mean, look at this composition from G2. They have the Genos, which is undoubtedly going to be Luminary, and they have so many good picks to scale off of that bonus damage here. The Barrack, the Ruckus, Leon, Cassie. I'm loving all of that, I have to say, and the way they've picked out Rock Monkey as well. Xin, if he's going to be going for a Guillotine or a Yomi here, he doesn't have his Genos backing him up. It's going to be hard for Rock to pop off. So I feel like this has really got to come down. So Random Noob getting his power pick on the Drogos, and of course the frontliners for Team Envious having their solid selections as well.
A lot that I think could change, and a lot that these teams learned about each other just yesterday. So I'm expecting it to be kind of similar overall, pretty much to where we left off at that best of 7. Envy maybe having a reset, but their mood still can't be too high overall, knowing what just happened when they faced G2.
Well, I mean, all of these drafts looking solid on both sides. Win conditions are absolutely there. No real holes for me either. Do you have a draft you like better on paper?
I'm leaning a little bit more towards Envy. I think Fernando, Drogo, Zanara, Xin, Maldamba is an incredible lineup to have. A lot of survivability in that. But honestly, I think it just comes down to how well they play it.
Well, it's execution then for Gore, Miser. Casters, take us away to game number 1.
Almost kind of feels like a feast or famine deal with the Xin pickup. Either he's going to be shredding up that backline or he's going to be absolutely held at bay. The interesting thing for me is, again, the Khan has been banned a lot, but when he's picked, he doesn't have a lot of wins under his belt so far.
He's a really interesting one. He works very well on maps where he's able to use Commander's Grab just to quickly execute somebody. So the Frog Isle, the Jaguar Falls, where we saw Fnatic execute that very, very well. On some other maps, not so much. And as we follow on with Cuss Cutie here, taking control of the high ground, I'm really looking for G2 Esports to try and get that inbuilt anti-heal online, get it onto Team Envy, make sure that their Inara doesn't just snowball the capture away, but Envy are already on the point, and they're 18% and rising.
Yeah, Inara actually got really low on the right-hand side, kind of off by herself. They're contesting this left-hand side high ground, that little platform area, but Evil Eye now playing the Leon very low, but I drop bodies here in support for damage. Looks for a backline flank, has a couple of shots in on Tolkien, but none of them really connecting for much, as Mr. Hayes is actually the one to get the first kill onto Cuss Cutie.
Support live, that's what it's all about. They're the ones going to be picking up the frags in this game. It's probably going to be our drop bodies, though, as they find the damage alongside Dozups to take out 2. Random Noob as well goes down to Evil Eye, their natural counterpart. Hit scan versus the airborne threat, and Mr. Hayes about to
you gotta finish.
fall as well. Yeah, I drop bodies will be chasing this one down. I mean, the stagger
is
so worth it, and even now it's a case of if bodies can get the kill, just that's pretty much a guaranteed capture. Team Envy's respawns are so disjointed.
Yeah, almost a forehead moment, but it actually ends up being a very big stagger. And ooh, look at this. Cuscuti able to find Random Noob with a couple of missiles through that doorway. 93%. Someone has to come and contest, but Inara's not going to be able to get there for free as she was completely shot down by all 5 players as she was very slowly meandering her way back to points. So the first one will go the way of G2. And again, Cuscuti using this kind of ruckus playstyle that Dosup's made famous back in the fall, just kind of outside flank route, extra DPS. Once you get looked at, you just run right away.
Pulls a lot of attention away from the majority of the fight, which is happening around that capture objective on Ascension Peak so far as well. Vex staying very safe, sitting at 99%, about 100% charged on this through time and space. Could be very useful on Ascension Peak to break up some of the holds here due to the fact that these choke points have a specific avenue which they'll kind of force you through and force the people defending to group up behind when they want to be out of contact. But so far, Team Envy appear to be able to stabilize. Let's take a look at items if we can after that first fall there, because we could actually find out we've got some mid-round buys going on, which could be very impactful.
That extra 300 credits after getting a capture point does come in very, very largely for the team ahead, and you can see so far it's actually Vex has not had a chance to buy anything as he has yet to die. Besides that, though, kill-death ratio is pretty even. We do have a record 2 online for iDrop Bodies. Dosup's is actually going into the Cauterize 2 as well. So a lot of Cauterize effect from the frontline play from G2, whereas Team Envy is going more into the Haven direct damage mitigation. And speaking of direct damage, how about a spite right in the face of Cuscuti? Is it enough to take him down? It is. Rock Monkey with one last slash will billow away and then regroup to try to see if they can find a way to keep this defense in line and maybe find another kill, which could be on the Dosups, who stood a little bit too long on the barrack. The Fire Lance from Rubu will take him down, and now G2 are in full forced retreat.
And I like that. I like the use of Spite right there by Xin. Sure, it's an ultimate which you are using, which you might want to keep in the tank for the next capture, but you've got 52 seconds on the clock. All you're doing is you're removing momentum from G2, preventing them from stabilizing, and also denying Cuscuti the chance to really get some items online. Here comes Dragon Punch again. Oh, through time and space, narrowly avoided that. Random Noob barely surviving, but that's enough to offset the Dragon Punch. No kills acquired, and therefore G2 retain this momentum right now.
But in Ultimate Economy, it actually goes the way of Envy, because a full ultimate is used. He retains some percentage because he doesn't go for anything. It doesn't connect on anybody. Rock Monkey able to, again, look at this positioning in the backline. He's able to get through. Billow right on out. Dread Server from Mr. Hayes. Is it enough to keep Rubu alive? It looks like it just might be. It's just Vex 1 HP, and my goodness, Mr. Hayes again able to get the peel from the Dread Serpent, and then a Gourd and a Mending Spirits to keep him alive. He's still playing just as out of his mind as he was yesterday.
This is really good coordination coming through from Team Envy here, and if they can get a little bit more ultimate charge as well online just from the last couple of seconds of fight, it'll always be a bit of a benefit to them right now. They're sitting on only really the Seismic Crash and only really that Fernando Immortal available right now. G2 Esports will be able to do some work with their available ultimates, but they use a lot on this push to really not much avail.
Yeah, Mr. Hayes is just, he's playing so well. And it's just one of those things that he kind of reminds me of the up-and-coming Vex 30 as he's playing up against them. You know, wasn't talked about for a while, and then all of a sudden he explodes in the scene.
It's Vex a few months ago, shall we say, where they're just kind of just on the cusp of doing something incredible, building a real name for yourself, and you're starting to gather a lot more attention. And the more we see Mr. Hayes, the more he keeps on doing this kind of thing. He's very, very mindful as to where the position of his team is, which means that he's able to respond with stuff like that reactive Dread Serpent as well, keeping things like that in the tank for peel and defense, not just aggressive plays, which is what we sometimes see them used as engagement tools.
And you know, the interesting thing on the other side is you take a look at Envy and where they might be struggling so far. You take a look at those damage charts that flash for a second. Random Noob is sitting in the 5th, 6th slot. Xin is above him. Ruckus is above him. That's something that I think drastically is going to need to change. Get in that damage where you can start to contest with the Leon and the Cassie, because right now, G2 is running away from the back end.
You really need to be able to as well. It's a difficult thing to play into right now. G2 have a very aggressive team composition with a lot of the damage that they've got also coming from the front line in the form of Cuscuti, whereas on the other side, on the side of Team Envy, they haven't got much damage in their front line. They've got a Fernando who can get out there and frag, and we've seen that certainly. But the Inara, she's more focused right now on contesting that objective on Ascension or Ascension Peak, sorry. And unlike a lot of maps where Inara, sure, she might trap somebody in and frag, she's going to be using her impasse more defensively. She's going to be playing around line of sight a lot more to just dip in and out of the objective and try and stack up some passive capture chip. And as a result, she's not as much of an active participant in these kills as we have seen other champions be.
And that's what we've seen so far, is Envy wants to try to be more centric on top of that neutral capture point for these fights. At least so far, it's just early on, it turned into a fight over the high ground where Inara
Very
wasn't a
much
part
so.
of that and ended up becoming first
Well,
blood.
she was on the opposite side of the map to that
Exactly.
completely, and as a result, she's so distanced from it. At that point, if you see Team Envy starting to take a fight like that, I'd like to see Team Envy go, okay, this isn't where we should be fighting. We might give up the high ground, but then let's force a full counter rotation to come back around behind G2. Let's give them the high ground temporarily and then look to reposition rather than forcing a fight where you're not really in the right position to be able to do so, and the snowball just comes there from that point onwards.
And that's one of the things that Zin kind of brings to the table is that counter rotation. All right, you want to push on the right? I'm just going to sneak my way around the left and try to open up some gaps for my team.
You've got so much safety to do so.
Yeah.
You've got so many tools to be able to do so. And sure, you might not have the Janus on your side to be able to really get that extra healing boost, but you've got, if you poke line of sight, Maldama throws Amending Spirits on you, you're able to be very, very effective as well.
Yeah, and that's big when it comes down to sustain, and the word that you use a lot is that throughput that you're looking for,
Very
especially
much so.
early on.
A quick burst, especially if you're able to pop into Billow then as well, or you're coming out of Billow without Cauterize on you, you're very safe, and then you're back in the fight before you know it. It's effectively, you're getting the same kind of effectiveness out of that as you would maybe a Furia heal, which is significant here.
Yeah, absolutely is. But again, we have a lot of things to consider. These point fights, they last for so long. These pushes are so difficult because you not only have to break a defensive line, but you have to kind of toggle over that high ground that we see is so widely contested here on Ascension Peak. And again, the biggest thing and why I think Inara does so well is not just the fact that you have the impasse wall that helps break that Cauterize that you mentioned. Again, that second and a half that you have to really make sure you're out of that range of that neutral healing that you're not going to provide, but also all the obstacles around that. She can really put herself in between three walls, whether she's making one herself or just putting herself outside the point.
If necessary, she can trap herself in a corner completely,
Right.
and then you just can't do anything. Unless you can get up and above, it's very difficult to deal with her. And looking at G2's composition, they haven't really got an Inara execute on them, so as a result, they're going to have to look for a lot of that chip capture, look for the counter rotations, look to be able to pick off everybody else around the map first of all, and then go into that Inara first, which they did very well in the first objective capture.
Well, we've broken down enough. We do have a game pause. We're going to send it back over to the desk to see what they have to add to those points as we kind of break down this first half.
I don't know what you're feeling, Gormizer, but that first fight was really dominated by eye drop bodies there. Yeah. He on his Cassie, he gets to this sweet little spot. It almost looked like when you're an uncontested sniper on Frozen Guard and you're just sitting on the wall and you just come out and you get that full-fledged view of the backline there, and he just got the free fire on 3-4 targets there and completely obliterate that fight.
And again, that fight went pretty much the exact way you would want from G2. If you're coming down to it again, Vox was saying, you don't have too much to get rid of Inara, but you don't really need to worry about Inara if you can worry about everybody else. And once you have that vision, once you have the ability to get around the side or get vision of them, that's just easy pickings.
And, the way you're seeing a couple of off-tanks specifically play today, they do this most often, so that's why I'm going to point to them, is just recognizing when something isn't worth your time. And a lot of times, Inara is not worth your time because she costs so much to be able to bring her down. When you couple that with the fact that this is the largest capture map or capture point in the game, and then you throw cover on top of it, and then you've got these 2-minute plus point captures, she's never going to be worth your time. I mean, she's more often than not probably going to be the last one to die in some of these team fights unless she pushes herself into a bad spot.
And she's one of those champions that, normally I would say if you're looking at Inara and you are planning a draft that is, we're going to kill Inara a lot. If she's the only frontline, you do look for that pip, you look for the Drogos, you look for someone who has the ability to execute her. G2 knowingly didn't want the Drogos. They were like, Cassie's going to be a little bit more important for us. That's what we want to focus on. They see the Inara, and they're like, we don't really need to focus in on killing her as much as we want to focus in on the map as well as being able to get around the sides, get the kills that we need on the Envy elsewhere. And because of that setup they've had, they find a lot of success. It might not be as successful throughout all portions of the map. Pushes, it might be a little bit more difficult to find some of, but there's going to be a very few snags, I think, overall in their strategy.
Right. For me, both these drafts are definitely solid. And if Envy wakes up a little bit, if they aren't caught off guard by that Cassie the way they were in the first fight, I'm curious to see how the strategy just evolves from there. But that is such a glaring error. It's like, you ask what adjustments need to be made, but it's like, you got to get past glaring errors first before you talk about little adjustments you want to make here or there. That's my big thing. Was there anything else that you saw that Envy need to blatantly improve upon?
I mean, like you said, I feel like they need to wake up. This is one of those things, after the way yesterday went, you could tell they were feeling super demoralized. I mean, you don't get to the point where you're 3-1 in a set and then lose the set and feel good about it. And there's never going to be an opportunity like that, especially when they were 3-1 on that last map. And that map was Ascension Peak. That's where everything started to break down. I feel like going there first is probably the biggest mindset for them where it's just like, man, we just lost on this map. Do we really have to play it again? Like, once you get into that kind of groove, it's hard to break yourself out of it. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing is like an Envy that isn't really playing to their full potential right now because they are still feeling down a little bit about what they experienced yesterday.
You have to imagine, though, that they have gone back to the drawing board in some capacity and have made evolutions for today, and they are bringing new strategies out. I can't stress enough that that's definitely the trend I've been seeing with them, especially at the Spring LAN, was a lose, a hard victory, a loss, and then another hard victory through both their Spring Finals and the Masters LAN. Now they are in the same position here where they are guaranteed at least 3 sets. They lost theirs, unfortunately, in the PPL Finals, but now they've got a guaranteed 2 matchups that they need to go against here in the Summer Finals. And it's not getting any easier. If they lose here to G2, they're going to be knocked down to the lower bracket to go against Space Station Gaming or Wolfpack, I believe. And
that's one of those areas that originally, when looking through the bracket initially, I was thinking, okay, well, G2 overall, with the way things went online, have the favor overall. And with the way that first half really went, I expect that they can kind of continue that up unless Envy really snap out of it. Going into, if you're looking at a lower bracket matchup and potentially up against something like Space Station Gaming, who do the same thing, where it's just like, we lost this. We lost our set earlier against Burrito. We are not going to let ourselves get knocked out this easily. I don't expect them to come back and make anything easy for Wolfpack or eventually maybe Envy going forward. So there's a lot of things and a lot of other teams here that are experiencing the same kind of feeling, I would say, that Envy are.
Well, guys, we are now through our pause. We're going to get right back over to the casters to resume the action in game number 1.
Was a small little technical difficulty, so we were going to restart everything from scratch, which is maybe some adjustment time there. We'll see what happens.
We'll see how things go. Getting a sense of deja vu, folks. I've been in this place before, as have you, as we resume the action at 0-0 on Ascension Peak. Same pick, same band, same everything. The score has been reset, and I wonder how Team Envy will, as we said, due to a technical difficulty, reapproach things a little bit differently this time. And you can see already, Rock Monkey is waiting for something. Found Cast Cutie, who takes the counter rotation to where they were last time. A big Yomi strike could hit 2 here, and I Drop Bodies takes some poke as well.
It's a beautiful response from Rock Monkey to have the patience. Now, what can Envy do off of that? That's a lot of early poke, a lot of cooldowns used for Cuz. He still wants to challenge us. Where's the help at? That doesn't show up. Rock Monkey gets taken down. I Drop Bodies help surge right on past, and you can see Dosubs with the barrack is trying to stay up front, but that Warders field is causing a lot of disruption. Still 63% for the side of Team Envy. Even though that was a successful first blood, there was no good rotation to get back to the point for G2.
The problem is, if Team Envy get off the objective at this point, if they start having members taken down, how do they get back on? They've not really got the ultimate charge right now. They've not exactly got the Immortal to be able to enable you to get back on there, but it's 99 for Team Envy right now, Shift. G2 Esports haven't found a single way in.
The beautiful thing about all this, yes, Rock Monkey was first blood, but what Random Noob did was went to the opposite side and stayed in the point. So he was salvoing, he was spitfiring, he's finding low targets. He's able to take down Cuz Cutie. Overtime's going to fade away. There are still 2 frontliners and a support up for Envy, plus a big damage dealer. The Random Noob has definitely woken up as he's finding a lot of connections, including this one right here. Could he find the last shot? He will. Needs to find the trailing shot if he wants to take down Vex. Not quite the success. Ooh, he actually does thread it. Are you kidding me?
That is a yikes from me, dog. That is a yikes from me. Beautiful fire spit placement right there. Really able to predict where Vex was going to try and trail through to. And what a different Team Envy right now. Great utilization of the Drogos this time around. Let's see if Rock Monkey can put some peripheral pressure on. Early scout comes out from G2 Esports. They're looking to make this defense 1 minute and 56 seconds on the payload push left, and it's over halfway through, Shift.
Looking good, as you can see the team in red is starting to push up just slightly, well, now falling back as Rubu was taken down over on that left side high ground. I Drop Bodies finding an angle on a Random Noob, which will force Mr. Hayes and Tolkien back. Tolkien won't quite get back far enough, and now it's actually just Mr. Hayes who knows what has to happen. He needs to die so he can reset, and he walks right into I Drop Bodies, giving him a double. That's going to set up some good early credits, but also beyond that, some good ultimate charge in case G2 wants to continue to stagger this defense up.
I was going to say, that's a bit of an interesting one. Evil Eye could have actually finished off the kill there, gives it deliberately to the Cassie, makes sure that they're going to get the credit reward for that as well, and it's just an assist reward going over to Leon instead, which makes me wonder how much you're valuing maybe getting like a bit more wrecker online on your Cassie early on, or whether you're valuing trying to get some utility as well. Maybe a morale boost on this Cassie to try and also get that ultimate up a little bit faster. But so far, Team Envy, they're looking towards the objective again. Here comes an Immortal Shift.
Oh, but wow, a downtown spite will take down Evil Eye, and now the Dread Serpent right after the peel for his low HP frontliners. Mr. Hayes again coming in clutch, and now it's just offense, offense, offense for Envy. They've got numbers of 5-on-2. 3 members from G2 are about to respawn, but look at the setup that Envy has right along this capture finish.
Beautiful pincer. Rock Monkey is actually pretty low here. Rubu still holding the fort though, being a threat on the peripheral left-hand side here. Cuskudi is coming towards the backline, looking for some aggro plays here, but just can't get it. It's a clean up by Tolki. Big fire spit as well. Down goes Doze Up Shift. This looks like it's going to be conversion.
Just great play from Rock Monkey, rotating over. The battle that is really going to continue is going to be this one between Xin and Ruckus. Can there be an opportunity for Rock Monkey to rotate quickly? Look at this Spitfire. You called this one out perfectly. I didn't think it had the legs. It sure as heck did, though. A double kill for him, and it's a big kill, too, because it is on the support, which, again, you could see it just there on that screen. The left-hand side, as soon as that was opened up, was pushed. Envy capitalizes, and those are the moments that Envy are going to need to continue to find if they want to punish G2.
We'll see if G2 play a little bit differently this time around. See if they go back to that high ground play. I like that positioning for them specifically because they get Drogos onto the low ground and can control that aerial space a lot better there. So maybe looking for an initial rollout difference in G2 this time around. Good slash lines coming out of Envy. Less so for G2 here. And itemization-wise, Random Noob already sitting on the Wrecker 2. I drop bodies on Wrecker 2 and Evil Eye likewise as well. Ultimates in hand. 4 out of 5 for G2. Waiting for that scout to come out to start things off, and here it is.
Tolki is going to start things off by sitting on the point and make sure that capture boost doesn't start amounting early. Salvo will connect for most of Cuskuti's HP. He'll use the advance in retreating fashion. But he's getting pushed by Rubu, who's able to find one more. And Gormizer likes to say one of the better Fernandos in the game is Rubu, and he's showing exactly why. Gets the shield up at the last second and actually stands in the peripheral of a Gorg. And now Dosup's looking for something a little bit more aggressive, but that's not a battle that he will typically win. He's in a corner back here, and Random Noob sees that as a chance to start channeling up the Dragon Punch. He'll take down one more. Rock Monkey with the double in the back line of G2, and it's just Cuss left to watch and wonder what went wrong.
And honestly, that was a bit overkill in terms of using the Dragon Punch just to finish off Doze Ups there when Rubu was there as a bit of backup. Could have been safe for later, but Team Envy, they're looking for security at this point in Shift. They go, okay, well, if we take this kill right here, right now, we will get the objective, and that's just what they've done. Rock Monkey pushing up further forwards, looking to have a little bit more poke come out onto early damage carries, forcing them back, opening up the path, but look at that objective time.
Yeah, as Tolki is doing a really good job of when it needs to be captured, he's standing strong right on top of the point, and then after that, you can see he kind of passes that off to Mr. Hayes and tries to get a little bit more forward to kind of gain some space, and look at this in the back line. Dosup's again, a little bit overextended, does get punished, and it's actually going to open up Rock Monkey in the left with some support from the Spitfire from Random Noob. He takes down Evil Eye, and now it's a possibility of cleaning up by drop bodies. A big combo on the Spitfire again. He will escape with his life because there is Cuskudi on the left-hand flank. Good target prioritization to switch on over and make sure that this Ruckus doesn't get up for free.
And so far now, G2 Esports need to find a way to hold this high ground. This is going to be so critical for this element of the defense. They're not at their last choke point just yet. The base is nowhere near to being broken, but the problem is they keep on being displaced by these fire spits coming from, of course, your Drogos again and again. And with the combustible talent, it's not just the damage, it's the knockback too, which is important here.
The big thing is, even though Rock Monkey may not have been showing up as much on the kill feed, he's doing such a good job of keeping the Cassie and the Leon deep away from the Drogos, which is allowing Random Noob to get all this big damage dealt. Cuskudi also has to back up. The Dread Serpent was used to try to push people away. The Immortal now coming out as well for Team Envy, so a lot of ultimates being expended here in the middle portion of this push as they try to get into that final little area of the base. Oh, he got pushed out and almost falls. Luckily, he did have the bowling ball and the rocket boots combo.
But here comes another fire spit as well, and look at this from downtown. Tolki goes yeet, throws the stone spear in. Doze Ups almost gets cleaned up there, but somehow, almost staying alive. I drop bodies barely surviving for a second, but here comes Mr. Hayes as well.
Oh, 360!
360 stun. Vex in a lot of trouble now, trying to box out. The Gord is good, but not quite good enough as the respawn from Cuskudi comes on through. That was almost the play of this land shift. So close, but yet so far.
Phase up, brothers. Coming in hot with the 360 snake stun.
I can't even do a 360 on my mouse. My sensitivity is too low. I have got to like get a DPI switch going so I can make plays like that or something, but 20 seconds left. Payload back inches away from conversion. Team Envy, they only have the Dragon Punch here right now. If G2 Esports can defend without using Dome Shield, without using Hexafire, they'll be in a good position with comeback mechanic for the next time around. But here comes the Dragon Punch, and here comes Hexafire. Random Noob could be in trouble, but no. Oh my god, he found Doze Ups.
I'm kind of surprised Rock Monkey couldn't position himself in front to try to use that counter just for a small bit to try to save random while he's coming through, but now Rock is actually going off, finds himself too. Actually, Mr. Hayes gets the kill, and everybody gets off the point. No one can touch in time. Envy find the 4-0. Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness, I really am getting a sense of deja vu shift. It's looking like yesterday right now with G2 in their interview saying, we got to continue what we had when we were playing against Fnatic, and then not warmed up today. Team Envy coming in fighting fresh. They are looking good.
What a stark difference in the beginning of this game compared to the one before the reset. That's got to feel bad for G2, and you can kind of see a little bit of looks of confusion there. Ascension Peak, which started bad for G2 yesterday, started to look good for them at the beginning of this, but then it all got turned around. It's insane to see a 4-0 for Team Envy.
I do have to say the same thing again, though, as G2 didn't go for high ground control once during that. I mean, they always kept on going low ground. They always try to rotate around the peripheral left-hand side when you're looking from Team Envy's perspective around basically where the edge of the map is. You expect a Khan to be there or something, not a Ruckus or a Barrack.
Right. I mean, we're seeing some incredible things. 360 snake tosses, 4-0s. This is just game number 1. It is only a best of 3. Desk, why don't you break it down for us?
My goodness, what a different story after that remake. I mean, Envious were down 1-0, and you hate to see it shake out that way if you're a G2 fan, but sometimes that's just the way things go. That's the way the cookie crumbles. This is a best of 3 set, so they will have one more game to bounce back. But the question is, do they have the resiliency to do so?
I mean, again, looking back to the way things were going yesterday, you're on Ascension Peak, you're Envy, you're up 3-0.
Yeah.
That last defense is where it turned around for G2. This time around, they weren't able to get their random noob. That entire game was just on fire, or at least shooting fire spit.
He looked really, really strong. That is going to be his power pick, but Envy had multiple, and I think Rock Monkey, he did a good job hanging in there. He was not by any means the part of the draft that was going to pop off. He's the dead last pick. He has very little synergy with anything else in that composition, but he just brings a solid performance, and that's what you need from your star. When you have these picks that aren't really designed to pop off given the circumstances, and you come through and you have a solid performance. The absolute star of that game has to be Random Noob in the front line just overall of Team Envy, but Rock brings a rock-solid performance.
And it's one of those areas that the first time he played Zen, everyone was just like, man, get off Zen. Like, it's not working out for you that well. Go back to Shaolin, go back to Cassie. But that effort that they put in during the online split, where it's figure it out, learn it, get the experience with it, because that's what you need once you get to LAN, it pays off.
You got some highlight moments, of course, from Random Noob as well. But what are your thoughts on this front line from Team Envious? They get the Fernando and Nara, and it's just looking infallible. Anywhere you look on the front line, they're able to hold it down. It brings so much more control in the Barrack and the Ruckus.
I think Rubu forgets he's not technically a DPS when he starts playing Fernando. Like, that's the way he plays. He gets very aggressive. He goes in for the kills, and he finds them a lot of the time. I mean, there's times that he's gotten 4 kills alone on Fernando, where it's just like, if you give him the right moments, he will excel with it. And I think having Tolkien being able to just go be that rock, that standing pillar to kind of keep the team up while everyone else just goes and does their own thing, makes it so solid all across the board.
Absolutely, and you have to say that that's a hell of a bounce back from Envy. Despite being down 1-0, the remake, the server crash, unfortunately, they have to come through. Be strong, and strong they were 4-0 on the first map. They've got one more before they put this set to bed. Stone Keep will be the next selection as we head into picks and bans. Team Envious looking to take down the PPL champions, G2, who made quick work of everyone, including Fnatic yesterday.
As things have gone for them, it's been along this entire route of Envy when they come into the set, at least from yesterday. First couple games, they are incredibly strong. Again, the one that we had started before the crash looked like it was going to go G2's way, but there was a lot of bounce back from Envy towards the latter half of that really, I think, is what kind of spoke into it, feeling warmed up, feeling a lot more confident. They came into that, and they were ready. They were prepared for what G2 had. They had the time they needed to prepare. So this is going to be, I think, where things switch up a little bit. Drogo's immediately banned.
I gotta say that draft from G2 last game was definitely good, but it felt like it was susceptible to the feast or famine, to quote Alan, where you know when things are going good, they're going great, but when they're bad, they are awful, and it just feels like there's no way to get our feet back under us with this kind of high risk, high damage composition, but doesn't have a lot of control or a lot of survivability. Furia will be banned out. Drogo's gone as well. Cassie taken off the board as well, so very different ban phase here than game number 1.
I feel like G2 is putting a lot of emphasis on this Cassie, and I think, again, part of it is to control Rock Monkey a little bit more, and I think another part of it is that they know what it can accomplish just in a staple draft, but I don't know if she is as highly prioritized first pick for a lot of other teams. I mean, it was kind of weird to see her up at the top that we got to see during the last game.
Yeah, not quite. I think the Kanga Na'Vi set was the other one on the day that you could say she was very, very highly looked at and put up on a pedestal. But 0 front lines banned this time around. Khan is open. Makoa is open. Envy will take the first pick. Toidle, as Drogos Furia, Cassie Buck are the bans. So G2 could be looking at a Khan here if they want, and I would be hard-pressed to believe otherwise, though. Game number 1 of this set was the first time all tournament Khan has gone unbanned and unpicked.
This is one of those moments where I think G2, like, again, you're riding this line, do we take Fernando so that they don't have it because they know you can do a lot when Rubu has that under his belt? And we know Cuss can accomplish a lot with it. We know we can work well with it, but you have to prioritize it over something, so something gets through because of it.
And this is just G2 playing the set. This whole tournament, it's felt like a draft on one game or even one set is going to be completely different than the one before it and completely different than the one after. These players are drafting against each other, not necessarily looking to play anyone's metagame per se. Leon will be locked in, a playmaking champion for a playmaking DPS. Shawnee, Rock Monkey, Boswell right there in the middle. Leon will be his pick. Willow will likely go to Random Noob, and a severe lack of Bomb King in this tournament so far. He hasn't been super flavor during the online split, but it has been a very dry day for the King today so far.
This is one of those areas where I'm actually thinking it'd be beneficial to pick him up. He can accomplish a lot on Stone Keep, and when you're looking at the fact that Willow, she's got a lot of control in her kit, but to make up for that, she doesn't do anywhere near as much damage. Bomb King in a lot of those boxing matches, or at least trying to find someone on the side, he can detonate you to the point where you have no health bar relatively quickly.
And you've got just such an absurdly good Bomb King player on this G2 roster.
Oh, yeah.
Evil Eye, very humble, but without a doubt one of the best blasters in North America, if not the world, as well as the fact that I just love Fernando Bomb King. I think that is one of the most lethal duos that can do so much on their own, because even without a healer behind them, they can remain very survivable.
One of the interesting moments, actually hovering over Grover here, and you can see Envy, I think, one to go for that double frontline. Barrack is always going to be good to have as an off tank. But it's kind of curious, again, to see them forego the Khan over in favor of Barrack, something that you get a lot of shielding, but you don't get the benefits of the shout.
Yeah, I mean, what is this, man? Rubu loved Khan in times past, and now it's just he's completely avoiding it. Granted, I think Fernando is probably still nearest and dearest to his heart, but he's now picked Barrack over Khan.
It's definitely going to be a more interesting draft. I think Willow becoming a lot more meta as of late is not the one that's really the odd man out. Grover, Barrack kind of feeling more out of place, but it's still relatively solid here for Envy as long as they can make it work. Kinessa being hovered over. They don't really have a lot to shut down the healing on the side of Grover.
A little switch up there in the draft. It will be Xin, not Bomb King. Kinessa being hovered on by G2 as well. And it'll be locked. You know, there isn't really anything to dive it per se, but what are your thoughts overall on what is a little bit of a wonky draft from both sides here?
I can't tell if I'd have preferred the Bomb King or the Zen, honestly, like, depending on which one you come through. I think they both have their merits, but I'm looking at what can Kinessa accomplish. She's mainly going to be looking at shooting Willow out of the sky, and I think that's going to be hit every single time.
All right, well, let's see what happens in game number 2 of Envy versus G2.
Man, my first reaction is there's a lot riding on this Kinessa pick. Without a doubt, has to be on fire, has to be pinpoint accurate.
My first reaction is Grover puns, baby. We're back and we're ready. But
Naturally.
also, yeah, I think the Kinessa pick is going to be the one who is tasked with taking down the Willow. We've seen a lot of Leon do this earlier, but we're seeing no Leon come out now, and it is the Kinessa, the bounty hunter, who really has the duty to do so, as well as Idrol Bodies picking up a wrecker on the Kinessa right now, because they know they're going to be encountering a lot in the way of shields in terms of barricade as well as shell shield. You want to be able to deal with that quite quickly, but notably the only player with Wrecker on that team.
Yeah, but at the same side, you need to find some way to apply Cauterize. It's
you got Brand, and that's kind of it right now. You're
exactly.
Just like, you're a little bit stuck out here. Mr. Hayes, though, big shot onto the animal right to start things off.
Wow.
Evil Eye in a lot of trouble here. Zin goes down immediately, and Rubu is doing Makoa things, so I guess we're off to a good start.
2 axes, a seedling, and a couple of shots from the flower wand. They're good enough for first blood, and look at G2. Look where they've had to position themselves, and they're still getting poked every now and again.
They don't really have positioning right now.
No.
They have a scatter is what they got.
How
Oh,
about
nice
this?
pull from Makoa. Up goes the shield for Cuss Cutie, but you just have Makoa sitting inside your shield. Behind you, Shell Spin goes through it and deals damage. Rubu's still alive right now.
This is a beautiful position as well, though, for the Leon and the Makoa. They can handle all of that Ivy, all of that staircase. You saw Will just up above on that platform, just looking at point and make sure no one can even come close to contesting through Church. A really good setup here for Envy, having to back up a little bit, but they're poking down Doseups, who has to back away. His Mother's Grace is going to be turned to WoW in just a second, not having it, and Barrick will just put himself right onto point. Fernando in trouble. Cuss Cutie will fall once again, and it's looking like Team Envy might just pull this one back as here comes a big headhunter. It only finds one, though, as Random Noob still very healthy.
Tolki does go down, though. Rock Monkey in trouble as well. Here comes the disengage this time around from Team Envy as G2 Esports off the back of the headhunter have found a way to break the hold and shift. This could be good right now. G2 Esports do have an opportunity to set up shop here, you know, get themselves a bit more established, get their Inara on point, and iDrop Bodies finding Mr. Hayes. That is huge.
That's what we need to see, is more big picks from iDrop Bodies.
Flight.
It has to come through. There's a Fae Flight in midair. How is he going to try to position this? Needs to contest. Ruby will, and whoa, Bill, what a pull that was onto iDrop Bodies. That's one way to take care of it, but nobody else can really touch. Will's going to give it a go, but Grover's going to have to get in here if they want to have a chance at it, and it's just not worth it as they need to be able to set up a defense early here. So it will be G2 coming back into this one, a 1-0 lead after the first capture.
That is so much pressure on the shoulders of this Canasta right now. That is so much pressure. If that headhunter hadn't popped off, it would have been over. You're fighting into death and taxes as well as your, oh my goodness, Evil Eye not going down to that one. Rock Monkey is traded out. iDrop Bodies is the one to take him out there, but you're fighting into a dead zone and death and taxes early game. It's really tough for G2 Esports. They've got to find these frags.
And this is how Yomi Zin is really well played. He's up on top, which is exactly where you want to see him. He's throwing out that third slash just to make sure he can poke from a long range, almost as similarly as Canessa can, but it opens up that whole left side to just be contested over and over again. You can even see Rubu misses a hook, and now he's got to back up. Whirlwind comes out, but he falls onto the low ground. Will Rubu be able to get some of this heal? Doesn't make a difference because another headhunter is out, and Random Noob will fall quickly.
Big play so far from G2 Esports, and they've got plenty more ults to go around. Ancient Rage has been activated. Not much really achieved from that by Rubu. Big missed hook as well. iDrop Bodies gets out scot-free, and now Rubu is in a lot of trouble here, able to back it up just a little bit, but this is a Grover healing. So low Grover right now with that Fluorescence.
The Dome Shield was well played, too, to be completely honest. Just gained that extra separation.
It was necessary there.
Yeah, absolutely was, because if you do fall there, it's a go signal for G2 all the way, and it likely turns into a 2-0. Long-range Vine into a Blossom. Over on the right-hand side by this fountain, we'll set up Team Envy to make sure that that high ground is in their control. But again, iDrop Bodies able to take down Rock Monkey. You can see the healing numbers vastly in favor of the Meltdown, but my goodness, though, that's huge to continue to see that kind of 1v1 between Bodies and Rock.
Here we go, Fae Flight from Team Envy looking to hit the gas on their end to make sure that this defense comes on through. Nice headshot, of course, comes out, and now iDrop Bodies is looking for the headhunter shots. Isn't really finding anybody so far. Could be taken out now as Willow does drop to the backline. Random Noob finds one to try and equalize, but Tolki's about to go down as well to Zin. No, Dozup's getting credit for that kill. Random Noob as well could be in a lot of trouble here as Evil Eye has their number. Up and down they go. Oh, the reload important, but not in quite enough time. This could be G2's push.
And that was all because Random Noob at the end of that Fae Flight wanted to contest the Canessa, got through, but his frontliners died away because there was no support. And now Rock Monkey in trouble again, and he falls. Now iDrop Bodies looking to get aggressive right in the face of Mr. Hayes, who needs to use Blossom just on himself. Tolki low once again. Now the Fairy flying in. iDrop Bodies hits one. Dosubs takes down Mr. Hayes. No support for Team Envy. They're looking to make this a 2-0 as G2, but Random Noob's on the back end. He needs to get back to help contest.
He's trying to get some out-of-combat regen right now just to heal up a little bit. It is Rock Monkey contesting, and no.
Can't do
They'll
it.
just let this one go through, and Random Noob won't give up a life there. Will save G2 from getting some extra credits and just give that one up. But, I mean, I think this is the Dredge Anchor, if I'm not mistaken, the kind of one from downtown. Here we go. Hits iDrop Bodies off the back of a jump with inaccuracy as well, so a risky play.
But the thing about it is, like, he had to contest for the overtime. It's a well-played move just to get in there. He got a kill. He got the overtime. The unfortunate thing was the rest of his team had already fallen into shambles behind that play.
Nobody
but
to
still,
back you up, which is the problem
it's
there.
tough. It's tough.
So moving on to this next round again now, you can see, looking at the damage charts, it's all led by iDrop Bodies. Willow actually coming in close behind Random Noob there, but what we're not seeing so much of is the impact of, even though they're in third, Zin doesn't feel like they're really going and being able to actually do more than force anybody out. They're changing positioning, but not getting the kills.
Yeah. You got to be able to capitalize at the end of the day. I mean, iDrop Bodies now with a level 3 on his record. You would have thought he went morale boost with how often he's been getting that Headhunter up. Now Spite coming in, Dread Serpent as well. Very low as Ruby with the Whirlwind comes out just in perfect time to save everybody. But again, that's a big cooldown used now. Seismic Crash has to be dealt with. The Enlightenment also being used, not finding much of anything as no one's died yet in this exchange. A lot of damage being funneled out, but the survivability and the sustain of both supports is just becoming king.
And Random Noob now almost sitting on the Fae Flight, could be in a really good position to go nuts, but here comes Headhunter as well from Knessa back in the side of Team Envy's base. Rubu's fighting the front line around here, trying to make some space. Tolki has found Evil Eye there, but all the while iDrop Bodies is still trying to frag in the backline, and this is causing a big distraction for Team Envy. They are getting split up. If the respawns from G2 come back in the right amount of time, they could be able to provide some disruption here, to say the least.
They need to get this Grover back over here to start healing up, but he can't even peek. Look at this iDrop Bodies with this angle. Oh, but he gets pulled by Rubu. Can he get it back out? The teleporter is good, but back onto point. Tolki's trying to stay alive. Random Noob gets taken down in his Fae Flight, and now Mr. Hayes looking to get involved in Nara low. Dosup's trying to survive. The Mother's Grace is good, and so much healing coming from Vex. He stays alive.
And all that focus right then onto the Inara when it should have been on somebody else. It should have been on Evil Eye potentially, but Random Noob will find the cleanup right there. Overtime is ticking. Somebody's got to contest. G2 Esports back and control the objective. Big pull. iDrop Bodies go down. Double for Random Noob TV so far, but Rubu is missing, and this provides G2 with another capture opportunity, as there's nobody who can sit on the objective right now, and nobody who can contest the Inara.
They have time, and the Seismic Crash gets used on a solo Random
Tolki's
Noob.
the backdoor cabin.
Oh, what? As they get off the point, no one was there. That's such a huge mistake. Well played from Tolki, though, to absolutely capitalize on just what is essentially an empty net. The goalkeeper was pulled. They get themselves the point. Holy cannoli.
Shift, I'm thinking of a number or a letter and a number right now. Can you guess what they are?
The third number of the alphabet and the 9th letter in sequence.
Something like that. There we go. In rough order, but now Team Envy with that capture there, looking to open up this path, pressuring out Cutie a little bit. Got to be careful as Rock Monkey right there. You haven't got any healing backup from the Grover in that specific position, and Cuss can box you out quite easily with fireball after fireball around the corner, but Rubu's looking to just disengage. He needs to be careful as Makoa retreating, but will be providing some support to this Lian. Shell Shield at the ready, and Dozops, once that Mother's Grace goes down, could be pulled into a lot of danger here.
Yeah, very well could be, although this is a really good spot for Inara to be in, and well, that's not anymore, as she gets booped around, but the Whirlwind coming out, Dread Serpent also being used, but that's shrugged off by a number of players on the side of Team Envy. Random Noob wants to get this high ground, but you can see where G2 is. They're on the left-hand side, perspectively for Team Envy, except for these two up here. Oh, now the Fae Flight, one shot will do it. iDrop Bodies goes down. Ancient Rage comes out potentially, not yet. It's still very, very low as the Makoa, but he survives, and this is a ton of free damage for Random Noob.
Free kill on a Vex there as well, as Knessa had been taken down. Nobody else can deal with the Fairy in the air but this Knessa, and as we mentioned, that is the win condition right now for G2 Esports. iDrop Bodies has to play perfectly and just does not have the opportunity here. Looking for some snipes now on downtown, finds Barrack, doesn't hit the 90% headbox, or headshot hitbox right there, which is strange, but Barrack stays alive, and iDrop Bodies now still trying to find the angle, being locked off by Grover, forced back to base. This is so good for Team Envy.
Absolutely is, and they do find Cutie once again. Now Random Noob wants to get aggressive, wants to try to take some shots on iDrop Bodies, but he's getting pushed, but he's able to counter it on an Evil Eye, gets the heal, and now it's all gas for Team Envy. Everyone's trapped in the spawn for G2. Will they get a chance to contest? Cuss will give it a go, but there's just too much distance to cover, and we're tied at 2.
Shift, if the songs so far, I think I'm feeling initial D Eurobeat songs for this set so far. Last game was Deja Vu for obvious reasons. This time around it's gas, 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 because Team Envy are hitting the pedal exactly when they need to. They're finding the opportunities, and G2, I mean, they put a good amount of contest in, but I mean, that's a forehead moment right there if I've ever seen one.
And of course, Cuss turns around just in time to see Barrack stepping on point. He knows what's happening.
I love the fact as well that Tolki was just waiting. He's like, all right, if I step on now, it'll be overtime. Now I go in. This is the perfect opportunity. No overtime timer. It's been long enough to reset. Brilliant backdoor play. Great just objective knowledge from Team Envy. G2 Esports, though, it is all tied up with them. There is no comeback advantage to any team right now. We are looking for them to take some high ground advantages. Cutie spots people out and runs away immediately. Good disengage.
And he's still mounted. That's the big thing. He's got that master riding in play. Now he's trying to flank right back around. He's going to have Rock Monkey right in front of him. But he's got help from Rubu. The Makoa trying to move forward and try to take down some action from the Fernando, who does have to back up. A little bit of a tug-of-war game going on in the Ivy on the left-hand side for Envy. Dome Shield being used on the point for Tolki. Wants to try to find a way to set this one up. The Whirlwind also coming out, looking to contest with the Seismic Crash. It's a big Enlightenment coming through just to try to chew through Dosup's HP, but Tolki still falls.
Oh, Body's in a lot of trouble there as well. Actually, transports straight into Rubu. I'm sorry, what's going on there? Random Noob activating Fae Flight inside of the Cathedral, but easily going to clean up Vex 30 right now. Puts the Dead Zone down onto Dosups. Doesn't even matter as there is no healing coming coming through, and this is just free shots. It is shooting fish in a barrel. It's throwing rocks into the barrel shift because it's Inara. Something like that. But either way, free kills coming through for Team Envy. I was coming out of this game with Grover puns, and I barely made any so far. I mean,
that's not the worst thing in the world.
You know, chat's gonna be getting viney about it.
Oh my god.
There we go.
96% for Envy. G2 needs to contest and find a way to get some kills. Rock Monkey in the high ground needs to be supplanted, but Evil Eye will not be able to get the chance to. Cuss Cutie has to hit the Immortal. He's very, very low still. Where's the heals coming up behind? He's able to find Rubu. Not able to get back out. Overtime still here. Vex trying to keep everybody alive. Doseups is the only one who can contest. And look where Random Noob is. He's giving some contest to Vex, but he's still staying alive somehow. How is this happening? Finally getting the kill, but is it enough time? It looks like it just might be. One more to contest. That's going to be Evil Eye, but he finds only one. He's got to find 3 more. I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. Looks for the smite channel, not going to get there. Cuss Cutie also falling low. The shield is a mere inconvenience at this point as he does get taken down. Overtime fades away, and Envy is now up 3-2.
They're looking good here, Shift. They're poised to be able to take this set. 1 game up already. All they need is the conversion to be able to push it through, but this time around, G2 Esports have to find a way to hold. Immediately, I Drop Bodies tries to get to the high ground, but Lian is waiting. Grover's locking off the angle. 9 health remaining. No way out of that. Transporter was down. That's an easy first kill, and now this is a free push.
Enlightenment tries to snipe out Vex 30 from a long range. He gets able to get close enough behind the boxes near his base to escape that, but now Random Noob has got Evil Eye picked out. And look at this. This is just a free kill on Inara if I've ever seen one. She's going to get staggered away. This is going to result in a ton of free push on this payload. No one can contest this from G2. They just have to hope and pray that they could get some shots from I Drop Bodies.
I Drop Bodies has to go big with this Headhunter, but again, you've got 2 shields to contest with Barricade and Shell Shield. It's up to the front line of G2 Esports to make some space here. Seismic Crash to bring those back down again, Shift.
You can't play frustrated, though, if you're G2. You have to play calm and collected. You need to find a way to get a snipe off on Random Noob. He's on a 16 streak. Talk about winning the 1v1. He goes up while the Kinessa is still there. Now a Dread Serpent trying to peel things away, but low HP is Cuss, and he'll get taken down. Random Noob trying to find Vex. He has to slither back into base, which means, once again, Doseups is out here by himself, and he'll fall in staggered fashion. He's down for 12 seconds.
This could be conversion. Out comes the Headhunter. Big heal comes through onto Random Noob, who goes straight back up to the high ground, but Bodies finds one onto Rubu. This could be the beginning of a defense if Random Noob goes down here. Somehow taken out by Vex 30. Cuss Cutie is surviving here. This could be the Immortal, which is necessary, but Shift is so close, and there's 55 seconds left. Even if Envy are thwarted here, they've got plenty more opportunities to come back here.
The thing is, you try to stay alive and rebuild this charge if he possibly can. He gets pulled away, and Tolkien punishes. This is Envy coming back, but it's a huge Dread Serpent. At least gives some mild inconvenience. Rubu's trying to fight Doseups. Very low. The Whirlwind coming out. Envy wants to end it right now. Random Noob finding 1, finding 2. This might just be it, and Team Envy come back, and they take down G2 after the second day of competition. Holy smokes.
Dare I say G2 owed their Shift. It's a repeat of yesterday, but this time around again, no best of 7 set to be able to hold it down. It is all Team Envy right here. And look how contented and happy they are with that performance. And we can say, okay, game 1, unfortunate things happen with technical difficulties. Right. Game 2 is an entirely different story. And honestly, that wasn't even execution from G2, that was drafting for me. That was putting so much weight on the world, on Kinessa, that Grover just ended up stumping.
Mr. Hay.
Not an intentional pun.
Get out of here. That was intentional if I ever heard it.
Smidgen. A little bit. Now that's a throwback.
That's a throwback. Some people will catch that
Barrack's
one.
in the meta right now.
He's in the meta right now. But again, that just, I think, again, props out to Mr. Hayes. He's able to just continue to hurl axes and keep Kinessa behind that line of sight. Random Noob having some gall to just go midair. I don't even care. I know where the Kinessa is. She's hiding in this little alleyway. I can just go ahead and take 75% of the map over this way.
Well, there's a big difference between playing into a Kinessa as your Willow instead of playing into a Lian, because Lian always has that emergency button. I hit the Enlightenment. I'm probably going to win the trade, or at least even trade if you've already fired a projectile. With Kinessa, she's got to hit the first shot. If you land that Nightshade Dead Zone onto her and a follow-up shot, 800 damage, 500 damage, 1 more or 2 more shots, and she is gone out of there. It takes a lot of nerve to be able to hold your position and trust yourself to hit the headshot to take out Willow in 1, and not many players can do that. I Drop Bodies, unfortunately, wasn't one of them.
Yeah, and that's what the big struggle. We kind of flexed onto a sniper. We said this would be the make or break point. It was the break this time around, but Envy gets the break they need. They get themselves continued in the winner's bracket. We'll head back to the desk to see how they thought about this rematch.
My, oh my. G2 always need to make it interesting, and it looks like this time around it's going to be maybe a run through the losers bracket. But like we've been saying, the loser of this matchup does not have an easy road. They have to square off against the winner of SSG and Wolfpack.
And it's one of those areas that, admittedly, I don't think a lot of people expected it to be G2 going down there just because they were the winners yesterday. But you've got, again, a bunch of accomplished teams. I said it earlier that I believe there's a minimum of 6 that could potentially win this entire thing. So
Gore, who the hell's winning this tournament?
No one knows.
Who did you have in your bracket?
I originally had Fnatic.
Okay.
And then yesterday I changed my mind about that. Personally, I would say it'd be really nice, I want to say storyline-wise, if it was like Burrito versus SSG.
Sure.
Not sure how likely that is to happen.
Probably not. This time around, we've got an interesting one here brewing. G2 were able to take down Envy. Granted, it was a best of 7, a comeback of time, one of the best we've seen this year in Paladins for G2 to even make it that far. And then G2 go and beat Fnatic 4-1. What does that say about North America versus Europe as a whole?
I mean, honestly, it feels kind of like, again, Fnatic yesterday didn't have the full force. Those last couple games, it didn't feel as though it was the same Fnatic that played in like game number 1. And so I'm kind of curious if this LAN is going to make a big difference, if someone's going to have a pocket pick that's going to make a big difference. Willow has been making strides for some teams versus being banned out against others because they're so strong with it.
Well, this is so Envy. They take an L, a very hard-fought L. They go back to the drawing board, and then they come out on top in their next matchup in a big way. Let's talk to them and figure out exactly why they do what they do.
Well, guys, congratulations. The rematch victory for you. And we got to start things off. A little backdoor sneaky cap from the boy Tolkien. Talk me through your mindset. Did you see that coming, and what do the comms sound like?
No, I did not see that coming. I was going around to go up to keep to touch for OT because we were going to be in a bad place. And once I got the cap, honestly, I just laughed.
Yeah.
All you heard was laughing.
You just hear Tolkien laughing.
That's understandable. And you guys came out strong with a Willow pick as well on that Stonekeep map. It's something which we've seen really come to the forefront of just towards the end of online play, and then especially now at LAN, especially running that Nightshade kind of build, but playing into a Canessa like that as well must have been, you got no way to support them up there. How much trust do you guys have in Random Noob specifically to be able to do that kind of thing?
A bunch. I mean, Random can play anything, to be honest with you. So we weren't really too worried about his play. Willow's also OP because you can't stand on point because of dead zone. So
The other thing I got to say, Mr. Hayes, you got to be building yourself a small montage. The 360 snake toss. We're just doing that for fun on Ascension?
I don't know. I do this with my mouse a lot, and it just flicks around. We'll see.
Always got to get in there for the style points as well, but you guys have
it's all about style points.
All about the style. We need to get you, as Jeff said, we've got to get you into a montage compilation at some point with some of those flex plays there. But the first time we're really seeing a Grover come out like that successfully so far this tournament. Interesting to see on Stonekeep, a map where you're often very spread out there. We haven't seen much in the way of support pips so far this tournament. To see the tree come out as well, you guys obviously had a pre-planned strategy, but how much does what does the Grover provide over other supports in that circumstance on that map for you?
So it was basically either Grover or Saris, because Fury was banned, they picked Damba, and we didn't feel like having Genos solo heal. And we went with the Grover because we knew that we'd be able to take keep, the left side of the map, the big keep thing. And Grover can heal everyone in there, so it works well.
Also, from a tank's perspective, to have Grover, there's a card in deck which gives us movement speed, which gives us a lot of move speed inside keep. It's a very confined place, so you need to get around fast, or you're just going to get stacked up for a fireball with Scorch, which is going to be a lot of damage to you. So you have to, once you get the burst heal, you can move around fast, reposition, get to wherever you need to get, hide from kin. It's all very useful.
200 IQ plays. Congratulations, guys. You're sticking in the winner's bracket for now. Hopefully, we'll see you guys continue to be here, at least in the winner's bracket for now. So good luck tomorrow, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Wise words from the lads there. The boys in blue, they've captured a victory here, a big one to continue on through the winner's bracket. G2, obviously no one goes home today. A second life for them down in the loser's bracket. And they will have, of course, that one round bye. But wonky answers to a wonky composition from Envy, and they're able to take it. The Grover, I guess, they gave a lot of credit to.
That was one of the things that, again, not a lot of people have been used to it. It was one of the things during the last LAN coming into that was big in the spring split. And then it just kind of disappeared. People stopped playing him as often. It would come out occasionally, but no one was focused on the Grover as much as they had been previously. So now being able to bring it out successfully again kind of opens that maybe one more time.
Well, guys, that is going to conclude today. So let's take a look at the bracket and see how all these teams are beginning to shake out. As we move onward and upward, you can see all the scores from the matches of today. It has left us with Fnatic versus Burrito in the upper bracket matchup for tomorrow. Natus Vincere versus Team Envy. On the other winners matchup down, we've got G2 versus the winner of SSG and Wolfpack. And then, of course, Kanga versus the winner of Armada and Clown Fiesta. A lot of great matchups brewing in the works for this weekend. It's going to be a long, fun tournament. Any closing thoughts on the day, Mr. William?
I'm really curious about Fnatic and Burrito, just because that was one of the matchups I had been saying during PWC. If that had been the finals, I think if Burrito beats Na'Vi at that time, they go on and win that. So this is going to be maybe the set to kind of showcase if they can.
There you go. Well, that's going to be a great one to watch for tomorrow. Before we let you go, guys, I want to remind you one more time about HRX tickets, as it is fast approaching and these bad boys are likely to sell out quickly. The PWC Console Wars for both Smite and Paladins will be there. Of course, the SWC, the big bad boy. The dates for that event, the 16th through the 18th. Tickets on sale now at HeroesExpo.com. That does it here for us. Night number 1 of the summer finals is now concluded. Thank you so much to the casters, everyone who appeared on the desk, of course, production. We appreciate you all, love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
It's a good world.